We have a lot of plants in this country that are here for specific use, agricultural use, whether you're talking plants for crops, for food, for forests, but we also have a lot of fruit trees we've brought in and developed, and a lot of these are becoming weeds. And we have to understand which ones these are and take care. But you might ask, why is a guava a problem? And a lot of these fruit trees, they grow wild, they're invading large areas and they act as food for birds, and they distract these birds from eating the fruit of indigenous species, thereby spreading their seeds. Possibly the guava is the worst one. That is definitely a very serious invader in parts of Zululand. It's grown as a crop still, but it grows everywhere. And the farmers nearby have a huge problem with fruit fly because these guavas now act as a host for fruit fly. So they spend a lot of money trying to keep fruit fly out of their commercial crops, not just guavas, but all the citrus and other crops. The mulberry, it is currently category 3 being ones that shouldn't be replanted, proposed to be upgraded to category 2 in the new NEMBA regulations, category 2 being you can only plant it with a permit. But mulberry, as we've seen on this visit to KZN, is growing wild everywhere. It is still nice to have in the garden sometimes because the fruit are very tasty, and the people who grow silkworms use it as food, but it is becoming seriously invasive. Mangoes are becoming a problem. You can find mango trees growing almost everywhere in parts of Natal, not just in orchards, and they have the same detrimental effect as wild guavas. So there are quite a lot of fruit trees and trees for other purposes, crop purposes. The Leucaena plant was proposed to be grown extensively in parts of Zululand. There are still some of the original plantations that were put there, and it was going to be grown as a fodder crop because it has very tasty leaves and pods. But now it is a very widespread weed around Durban and parts of Natal. It is a serious problem. It wasn't planted commercially, but it's too late. It's out. Forestry and large-scale agriculture are things we have to live with. South Africa has about 1.4 million hectares of commercial forestry plantations, and those are things we have to learn to live with. They are well regulated, they are well maintained. Up to 1972, they could be planted without a permit. Since then, permits have been required, and we've probably reached about saturation point. They do use a lot of water, but we need the income generated by wood as a resource. A lot of people consider wattle also useful for firewood and other purposes, but commercial plantations have to be limited. And we now have a problem. The big forestry companies are very responsible. They can't plant close to waterways, they look after it, but up the edge of their plantation, that's really where their responsibility finishes. So we had to be very careful with a lot of these plants that we bring in for agricultural purposes, whether it's fruit or for crops or for forestry. We have to keep our eyes open for them.